Hi, I was in synagogue. I was in synagogue for the High Holy Days, and we were afterwards. We were in a discussion group with, and there was a very beautiful rabbi there, Alan Green, and it was a really an amazing. It was really an amazing thing, and the Jews are really struggling with nationalism. That's what I noticed in the synagogue. There, people say, the Arabs are evil and everybody hates the Jews and anti-Semitism is on the rise. You know, whereas I'm like, of course it's on the rise because we're killing Palestinian children. The head of the Jewish Anti-Defamation League was a concentration camp survivor, and staunch Anti-Defamation League kind of guy. It's an international, Jewish rights. And even he is saying the Israelis are going too far when they're breaking the rules of war. You don't kill women and children. And so this is a flowering of the Jewish trauma, which, let's face it, was pretty severe. But again, it's like, okay, Arab Dad said this YouTuber, it's this hilarious thing, like 75 years, okay, get over it, But I'm not saying, but they're not over it because it's trauma. People don't understand trauma. So you have a Jewish trauma and you have Palestinian trauma, and the British, I'm not sure why, put these two people together and told them that they both owned the same piece of land. That's what the Onion said. They're like, how do we get this? Let's give a little history lesson. And the history lesson was like, the British thought this would be an endless source of amusement to put these two guys together and watch them fight, which in a sick way, it's got to be true. Because think about it. The British are not idiots. They're the major colonial power of the world for a while, like Rome. There's like Rome, the British. They conquered the world with wooden ships and their navy. I mean, they colonized the living you-know-what out of this world. So the British are not ignorant. I don't know why Americans think everybody else in the world is as stupid as we are, but whatever. So did they do it on purpose? Did they do it subconsciously? Who knows? But they put these two brothers, half brothers, that same father, Abraham, his, Isaac and Jacob and all that, and Ishmael is on the other side. And our Yom Kippur, the highest, or Rosh Hashanah, one of the highest holy days of the year, the second highest holy day. What is the main focus, the biblical reading on that day? What is it about? It's about God making a great nation out of Ishmael. Why? Because he knew the way to screw up the Israelis is have them fight with the Arabs. Think about it. If they didn't fight, think about it. All that money and all that smartness and tenacity, the Israelis could equip the whole region with fighter planes. They could probably build their own fighter plane plants with Saudi money if they weren't fighting. And I remember hearing the Iranians wanted to screw up Israel, that they don't want peace in the region. There was just about to be a little breakthrough in the peace between Israel and its neighbors. Because Iran is not Arabic, they're Persian. It's very interesting. Anyway, the way out of the Mideast crisis is a number of things. First of all, the question is from this rabbi, Alan Green, this beautiful rabbi. Thanks for sticking with me. His question was, how do you love someone who wants to kill you? That's a good question. Beautiful question, because he has such a beautiful mind, really Jewish soul. What a question. It's a Talmudic question. How do you love someone that wants to kill you? And why do they want to kill you? Because you took away their home. their homeland. We can't even fathom what that might feel like. It's like if I'm in Iowa and Wisconsin comes down and ejects me and all my friends and ship us off to some kind of concentration camp. Can you imagine? And I heard, a Palestinian told me, I was working for a Palestinian in an ice cream store like 45 years ago. And she said she was there and the Arabs dropped leaflets out of the sky or something, or no, the Israelis dropped leaflets, I heard, to tell them, listen, we don't want to fight with you, you know. And what happened is the Arabs came and they said to the Palestinians, we're gonna kill these guys. You better side with us. And the Palestinians picked the wrong side. They picked, and for whatever, maybe they were right. Maybe they don't want to co-live with them. Maybe they want it all to themselves. Who knows? But that's what I heard from an actual Palestinian, is that they were told, you know, which is so interesting how that process works. It's like word of mouth. Everybody had to decide, though. We're not going to stick with the Israelis. We're going to go with the Arabs. Well, the Arabs poured in, and, you know, they lost. They lost the war, and all the other Arabs went back to their countries. Oh, sorry, it didn't work out. And the Palestinians were left in the middle. Like, what about us? And all those countries said, fuck you. You're not living with us. No way. No way. Nobody gave them a place to live. Nobody wanted them. No, they're their own country, but now they lost the war. I mean, they lost fair and square. So then, you know, you're trying to coexist, and then, you know, in the Palestinian charter says, you know, we need to push Israel and all the Israelis. We push the Israelis into the ocean and push them into the ocean is the wording of their thing, their declaration of statehood or whatever it is. And the Israelis are always like, why don't you take that language out of your thing before we negotiate with you as a courtesy to us? So, right? And then the Israelis are, you know, then the Israelis are breaking their promises and putting settlements, and now there's this like constant death camp. Gaza's a death camp where they kill children. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't, you know, who am I to judge? But it's a death camp. Let's call it what it is. And they have a perfectly good reason, because they came in and beheaded some babies, which they did. You know, that's kind of, if you want to do a provocation, you know, that's a pretty big protest. Like, hey, we're in jail here in Gaza, so let's sneak out to your kid's rave and, you know, kidnap and kill some people and families and babies and keep them hostage. Let's do that. Let's see what happens. I mean, Israel's always like, you know, you kill one of ours, we'll kill 1,000 you. But then now the Israelis have lost their integrity and are systematically. You're telling me people who know how to grow cactus and broccoli and everything in the desert with all their fancy science don't know how to keep a people hydrated in a space that they control militarily? So they've turned this into some kind of weird death camp. And even the concentration camp people are like, you know, you've gone too far, Israel, knock it off. Anyway, so because you have two traumatized people, really traumatized, the Jews are like, hey, let's live in Europe and contribute, and then let's get rounded up, 6 million of us rounded up and killed, but worked to death first, you know. And I saw this, I can't find the image, it was a sorting platform. Trains would come in, and the Germans were sitting there smoking their cigarettes in their beautiful army suits, and the beautiful secretaries were coming to talk to them, and they were sitting there on the platform as these trains rolled up. I mean, think about that. The train rolls up, and there's people sitting there. who are doing this. It's pretty weird. I also heard a story about these people in Vancouver or something. This whole group of people were Holocaust survivors, and they hung out together. And one day somebody spotted a Ukrainian who had been a prison guard. Ukrainians, I didn't think the Ukrainians were Nazi prison guards, but maybe they were. Anyway, but whatever the nationality, they spotted this guy, and they plotted to kill him, and they killed him, and they got away with it. Very interesting. I mean, this is real world stuff. Anyway, the way around the trauma in the Middle East is very clear. First, you deal with the trauma. You realize, first of all, the world community has to say, we've had enough of enjoying the spectacle that London created. The world has to say, we want peace. All the world has to say, we want peace. And the world has to get their act together and stop taking sides with two traumatized children. It's like it's like a cockfight. No. The way to get peace is first the world has to stop betting on this cockfight, jumping up and down. We're the right, and no, we're right, you're wrong, and you started it. Now everybody's in on it, and the Jews are losing this battle. And I'm not saying this to prop the Jews up. But, the world has to say, listen, are we okay with the Israelis and the Saudis getting together? Because here's the thing. The world has a chance to do the right thing. And if we do that, the Messiah will come. That's what the Torah says. That's what, everybody says he's either been here, he's coming back. We'll ask him if he gets back, have you been here before? Okay. But he's supposed to come back, and he's supposed to come back when we've screwed things up. So I don't think we want a war in the Mideast and with Russia, and we don't want this. So how do you get away from it? You have to look at the responsibility of the world. The responsibility of the world is to stop betting on this fight and decide it's okay that the Israelis and the Saudis and Syrians and Jordanians and everybody, I forgot somebody. Anyway, that's rule number one. Okay, let's work on that. Rule number two. You got to be okay if they join forces, because that's what's destined, it looks like. The Israelis and the Saudis, to preserve peace, they're going to become cousins. That means they'll share resources, and that's a very powerful combination, but the world cannot be like, oh, they're going to kill us. We have to keep them separate. They're going to kill us. No, this is a blessing for all of us. We're going to have to know how to deal with climate change. How are we going to deal with climate change? The Saudi money and the Israeli know-how. Not the U.S. know-how. The U.S. has just fired all its professors. So let's snap some of them up and put them to work. Saudi money, Israeli know-how, solve climate change. And so that the U.S. can't dictate what they do. I don't think it's really even so healthy now to have the U.S. helping Israel so much. Because America's it's got a fascist tendency. That's another story. So that's the first thing. The world has to stop betting and start deciding we want peace, and these guys are going to be together. That's what we want. We want everyone to be together. Can you imagine if the world decided we want the Saudis and the Jordanians and the Syrians and Lebanese to all be friends with the Israelis and the Egyptians? Everybody's friends. That's what we want. That's what we all want. Right? The British can't have screwed it up so bad. The weird thing about the British is, they're holy. They're insane and greedy, but they're also deeply spiritual. So in their puzzle of putting these opposites, they're playing their role and fate in the hand of God. I mean, listen, I may be going out on a limb and getting a little fanciful with some of these ideas, but I'm sharing from my heart. I'm not asking you to believe what I'm saying, but it's fun to believe it. You can try it on. I mean, come on. Why not? Okay, I'm almost done. I can feel it. Where was I? The second thing. So the first thing is the world stops being about that. The second thing is, recognize there's trauma, whatever. I'm not going to number these. The third thing is really, it says in the scripture, in the prayer on one of the prayers of the Torah reading, I had to learn this week because I was performing, doing it in the synagogue. I don't know what you say, reciting it as part of the service. I was asked to do it, so I had to learn the prayer again. And one of the interesting things about the language of the prayer is it contained the line, "May God blessed are you, Lord our God, who makes Zion happy with her children." I found that very interesting. That and the fact that on Rosh Hashanah we talked about Ishmael being a great nation, it tells me that, this is too tight, it tells me that God is, it's like he's foreseen this problem. And he's telling us, I am the one to make Zion happy with her children, the Jews and the Arabs. And even the Iranians. What are they, why? I don't know what the history, I'm sure there's a good reason why they hate Israel. But, and then we screwed the Iranians over by replacing their wonderful, loved leader with a dictator who would play ball with the oil companies. Come on. That's like common knowledge now, but what a shameful thing. That's like, you kill the father and you put like a puppet in. It's just, come on now. Really? And that's okay. We can't talk about it. The other thing, people say, oh, you can't talk about that or you're un-American. You don't love our country if you talk about that. Okay, right? Right. That's why I have an opinion, because I don't love our country. Only you can have an opinion that's not, right? What was the founding thing founded on? Free speech is like right up there. Like I can say what I want. You're going to tell me I'm un-American because I'm exercising my right of free speech. There's deep thinking. That's why, make the schools really bad, because you want people, listen, it doesn't matter if their thinking is simplistic. It makes them much easier to control. They're not worse. They're not bad people. But the thing is, if you screw the schools up year after year with these idiotic tests and fancy ways to do math that make me want to run under the bed, and you don't teach handwriting, and you have people, with guns, and you don't fund them properly, people are going to not do so well, and you don't have after-school programs to let them, work their stuff out. They're going to get nutty. Why is this? This is not rocket science. This is the way human beings are. The one thing they say is, listen, these programs don't matter. You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's like the answer to every, why did you cut this social program? Because you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, my bootstraps now don't have like an after-school program attached to them. So I guess Johnny, whose dad died in a car accident, and is struggling, isn't going to have a place to hang out because he needs to pull himself up by his bootstraps, right? That's what I'm being told. It's so much garbage. It's just, there's not enough time to go through it. And I just need to stay on point. So let's just go back to how to heal the Middle East. So this beautiful prayer, sorry for that rant. I truly apologize. I should probably edit it, but I'm too lazy and I won't. So I'm just being honest. I'm sorry. I should probably put timestamps in. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure this is a lot. Just skip around. So what I need to finish with is this idea about How to heal the Middle East. God is saying, I'm the one that can fix this. Let me see if I can find it. I'm the one, it's beautiful Hebrew. I'm the one that can fix this. Ah, there it is. I'm the one that can fix this. Not us, not the British. God is the one. Because he is the one that makes, here it is. Oh, I can show you. It's beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai mesameach Tzion bivaneha, right here. Baruch atah Adonai mesameach Tzion bivaneha. And bivaneha, ben is a child. You hear so-and-so bin, that means son of, child of. So bivaneha means your children. Misameach means to make happy, who makes happy. To make simcha. Simcha is happiness in Jewish. Zion bivaneha, happy with her children, with her children. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, Lord, misameach Tzion bivaneha, who makes Zion happy with her children. So God's the one that makes Zion happy with her children. So we just remember that. Oh, God, you can help us because you can. So what do? Here you've got a problem, and you have the answer. In the Torah, it says, in the prayer, it says, God will make Zion happy. He has the ability. So this is where you go, hey, let's get a group of people together to see if we can find this guy and see if we can convince him to solve this for us. Because it says right here where it says his words are true. That's the other thing. Right before this paragraph, there's a huge paragraph. I won't go into it now, but it goes over and over and over and over. I've never seen anything repeated so many different ways, all about how God's word is truth and dependable. It's dependable, verifiable. Where's the, I guess I'm going to read it. There's a beautiful word in Hebrew that my mom told me the distinction. I happen to be lucky I have a scholar for a mom. Where is it? What was this? Oh, v'ne'eman. Ne'eman. It means valid. It's reliable. Ne'emanim, validity. You can see V'ne'emanim devarecha. Your words are valid. And it goes on. I'll read it. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, rock tzur, kol all ha'olamim, forever. Tzaddik, a holy person, b'kol hadorot, all the generations, you are going to be the wise person. Not bad. This is some good stuff. Like, here's where the wizard lives. And this is what he's good for. This is a very cool prayer. Ha'el ha'ne'eman, a guy the God who does what he says. Ha'omer, when he speaks. Ha'oseh, when he does. Ha'midaber, and when he speaks, it's another word for saying says. When he speaks, umekayem, he fulfills. So he fulfills in word, action, deed. And when he speaks, it happens. They're saying another way of saying it. Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Everything he says is righteous, just, and wise. True and just. Everything. Kol devarav. All of his words. Ne'eman, he does what he says. Atahu Adonai Eloheinu. You who does what he says are our Lord, O God. Ne'emanim devarecha. And your words are valid. V'devar echad midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam. I don't quite understand this sentence as well as I would like. But it means all of every single one of your words, not one word of all your words come back without being fulfilled. Nothing comes back empty. And then it says, because you are a king, melech, ki el melech ne'eman. You're the king of faithfulness, of validity. V'rachaman, and you're compassionate, you're sweet, you're nice, you're not going to be a dick. Ata, that's you. That's you, the nice guy who always says and does what he says he's going to do. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'kol devarav. Again, you're the guy who's blessed, who does in all of his words are faithful. Wow. That's a lot. I've never seen anything in my limited, I'll say, Jewish experience, but I've been to services, never seen a prayer that repetitive, ever. And what does he say right after that? Rachem al Zion, have compassion on Zion. Kihi beit chayenu, like chai, because it is the source of life. It's the house of life, our life. Kihi, because she beit hayinu, she is the house of our life force. V'la aluvat nefesh, and the grieved soul. Toshia bimhera biyamenu, quickly save them. Who's the grieved soul? I think it's okay to say humanity, if you're watching this video, are a grieved soul. You're a grieved soul. We're the grieved soul, and who's going to help us? God is going to help us swiftly. This is good news if you're a grieved soul. This is not razzmatazz trying to sell you the Lord. It's very clear here to me, and so I'm sharing it. I'm not trying to tell people you have to be a zealot for God. I'm just saying there's some instructions here which it's possible to follow without being shamed. Oh, I can't believe in God. That's like I'm weak and simple-minded. Ay. Baruch atah Adonai mesamech Tzion bivaneha. And then after that, it says, making all my words are true, my words are true. I will rescue the brokenhearted and save them, and I will make Zion happy with their children. Well, by gosh, I want to talk to that guy. I want to ask him, hey, man, could you please do what it says here that you can do? Because obviously your marketing guy was very explicit that you can really, Naman Devarim, your words are, your Devars are Ne'eman, they're faithful, they're valid, they work. So okay, you got me. I'm on the infomercial. Where do I sign up? How do I get a hold of this guy? Sounds great. We've got a problem. Here it says absolutely 100%. I mean, if you rephrase it's like, folks, I can do this job for you. Everything I say is true. It's true. You know, it reminds me, I hate to say it, but it sounds a little like Donald Trump. I hate to say it. I'm not saying anybody's good or bad. I really don't understand the connection. But really, the prayer is like, hey, we're praying to you because everything you do, this is the God who does what he says, and he says what he does, and everything he does, he says what he does. And his words are true, and everything is true, and it's all true. He's the God where everything's true. It's true, right? True. That's the prayer. But, it comes after the Haftorah where, you might think, well, this is weird. It's telling you this, it was referring to the words, really what it's referring to immediately is that specifically the words of the Torah that you have just heard read are true. And then it goes on, God will save you. But I think for us, it really holds a special meaning. Like also could be true, like, hey, this is a prophecy. God is saying over and over, my words are true, and his next words are, I can save the Middle East. That's what I see. So that's way number 3. Boy, that's a long way around for that. And again, I apologize for all the interruptions. Holy cannolis. But so way number 3 is let's pray to God and ask him, like he said in the prayer, you're the guy that can fix this, please do it. That's all, just ask, right? Admit, we can't solve this, we don't know what's going on, we're out of control. Please help us. Help. Please help with the Middle East, because it says you can, right here in the prayer. The prayer after the Haftorah. It's right there. First 2 paragraphs. It's the reading on Rosh Hashanah. Why would the Jews say, let's make Ishmael a great nation, if it's not important for them to get along? Right? It doesn't matter. Of course they want to kill each other. Of course, the answer to Alan Green's problem, what do you do? How do you love somebody that wants to kill you? You ask for outside help, because no human can love someone that wants to kill them. You can't. It's not a solvable problem. It's a British, they were mad that they'd lost the colonial world, and this was their FU. You want to take away my power? You want to take away the power of the world from me? Which they had, India, and right? Colonial ships, man, the British Navy, they ruled the world. So you take that away from them, they're pissed off. What do? They create something on the surface that looks like it's workable. It's like a time bomb, because they're so angry at having lost. They sort of did what the Germans tried to do it. The British did it sort of in a way that was allowed. They did it gradually. They did it to them, not to us. By the time it got to the Germans, they're like, we want to do this too. We were great once, and you've taken away all our money and impoverished us and humiliated us. And so then, they went insane. And they're the Jews. They don't belong. Different race, easy target. It's not they did it on purpose. It's like when you traumatize someone to that extent, national trauma, you break them. You make them, because what has happened to them is unthinkable. You take a nation who's viable, a great nation, a sovereign nation like Germany, where people like to work and they're somewhat simplistic in their thinking, or direct is a better way. It's not simplistic. They're direct. And you ruin their life. You make it like $100 for a loaf of bread. You destroy their spirit. You've now crippled them. And they can't think for themselves anymore because their spirit was broken. And so a guy comes along and he says, you're powerful, you're great. Well, yeah, that's right, we were great. And now we're not. And whose fault is that? It's the Jews. Why not? What are you going to say? That's a number of complex social and economic factors that we found ourselves on the wrong end of the way World War I and World War II worked out. I mean, I don't even understand it. It's so complicated. But they're going to be like, that's really what's going on. I know it's a little long. We're going to have study groups, No, that's too complicated. They say, why are we downtrodden and your family starving? Because those Jews, those filthy, inhuman Jews, we have to exterminate them so we can be restored to greatness. And it almost worked. They did rebuild. I mean, but like I'm saying, everybody's insane on this planet. So and then that happens to the Jews. They're notably upset. I had people beaten to death. Great-grandfather or something they dragged him into a concentration camp, beat him to nearly dead, and let him out. This was before it was a concentration camp. They just arrested him, threw him in, beat him to near death, let him out, and then he died. They let him out because they didn't want him to die in there, so they could say, nobody's died in here. So my great-grandfather was like a statistic. Whatever. Anyway, but listen, the simple thing is pray to God. There's a lot going on under the surface. And, here's a chance where God's telling us, I'm compassionate, I'm a nice guy, pray to me. Because we don't want bad things to happen in the Middle East. We really don't. We don't. And what? Somebody's going to come up with a peace plan that doesn't take these ideas into account? What they're going to do is they'll take their own economic interest into account. A peace plan is where Israel and the Arabs are friends, and they're an incredible economic superpower. That's the good ending. That's what we want. And we want Israel to get maybe some trauma counseling. That's the problem. You can't get them together now because Israel's too traumatized. But so, it's time for the world to step in and say, we want peace, and Israel needs to be less traumatized. This is sounding more and more far-fetched. I'm thinking, how is this going to happen? That's why. Thing is, the book says, pray to God and he will fix this. He's the guy. I think I've said that 50 times, and I think it's time to stop. Thanks for listening. Over and out.